but the legislatures and judges should be so ignorant to ignore the voice of we the people. That is not a constitutional republic. It is the justices here in Iowa that have violated the state law. And by the way, each and every one of you can go home tonight and you can Google on the Iowa legislative website, and I want you to look up and see what the definition of marriage is in Iowa. Because the definition of marriage in Iowa is a marriage between one male and one female. Judges do not make law, they do not enact law. I ran across on YouTube, and I'm glad you reminded me of YouTube there, Chris, of a little cartoon I used to watch when I was little. At the Schoolhouse Rock, and I'm only a bill, and it tells the whole journey of how that bill gets introduced to committee and gets passed by one house and then has to go to the other house and then it has to go to the president to get signed. Well, we have the same system in our state government. It is the legislature that passes legislation. It is the governor as the chief executive that signs it into the law. Judges do not make law, they render opinions.
Judges interpret our Constitution. That is their role to do so. And just because we don't like their interpretation does not mean that we should change our Constitution. And I certainly do not support electing judges. I've had a discussion with this with many different people that we need to keep that branch independent from the other two branches. If we turn it into an elective office, judges are going to be out doing what you and I are doing, Tom. They're going to be knocking on doors, trying to raise money, and the whole 9 yards.
I've never suggested that we elect our judges, but I think we can improve upon our program, make it more like the federal, where judges get nominated and they get they have hearings in front of the state senate and improve that way. The way judges are now, the governor has no choice, the legislature, we the people have no choice. It's a good old boy and girl system where the Bar Association says, here's who we want for our Supreme Court judge. And really the governor doesn't have much authority to say yay or nay. So I think we need to go more to the federal system and keep the accountability and vote on retention.
Yes, I'm not against the retention, as I stated before, but if you recall, the federal system, right now we have how many judges that are backed up or waiting to be approved? The federal system isn't perfect either.
All right, at that point, I'm going to close out that part of the questioning. We're running close to the end of time, so I'm going to go with 2 more questions, and then we'll go to closing statements. With the recent recall of over 500 million eggs from 2 production facilities in nearby Wright County, the oversight of food production has been re-examined. Although food inspection primarily falls to the USDA and FDA, the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship and Iowa Department of Natural Resources are charged with the approval and inspection of facility location, conditions, and management. What do you believe to be the role of state agencies in the regulation of food production? And as a legislature, what policies would you implement to work towards that role? Susan?
I believe the federal role, that it is more of a federal issue. And I think if we enforce the state rules that are there, we're okay.
Tom?
The problem with a lot of regulations is we tend to over-regulate and regulate businesses too much, which stymies economic growth. I've already heard the call that because of the DeCoster egg recall that we need more regulations. And that's what happens in government, and one of the things that upsets me. We have regulations in place. The USDA had received complaints from employees. Why did not the USDA go out and enforce the restrictions and the regulations we already have in place? But nobody wants to talk about that. They want to talk about, well, let's put more regulations. Well, okay, we put more regulations, so we have more regulations that aren't followed, and we're still not keeping our food safe. So, just like every other branch of government, I've talked about elected officials and judges. Every government employee is part of the government, state or federal, and they serve at the consent of the government also. So we, the people, need to start putting pressure on these regulatory agencies to actually go out and enforce the regulations we have in force.
All right, the final question. The Pocahontas County Board of Supervisors has explored the creation of a TIF district, a tax increment finance district, around the county's windmills. In essence, to utilize the incremental increase in windmill assessments to support various county projects. If the county creates the TIF district, it would significantly impact other area taxing entities like schools, townships, rural fire departments, among others. What policies would you pursue to ensure that all of these organizations continue to provide their required level of services without adversely impacting any taxing authority? Tom?
This is the last question. I haven't used my lifeline yet. Can I use that? Competition for the government money. That's what this is all about. I don't have a good answer for this one. It's a balancing act. I know at the municipal level, you want to do street improvements, so you set up your TIF districts, and that's great. You get your streets built, but then you're taking money away, or potentially taking money away from the schools. I guess what you have to do is, rather than look at this as a state issue, you need to look at this as a local issue. Stay informed with your school board, attend your city council meetings, attend the county board of supervisors meetings, and get informed on when they're proposing these things. Go there and educate yourself. One of the things I find amazing is you go to the coffee shop, and maybe the day after a city council meeting, and nobody was in the audience, and the city council passes something, and the next morning at the coffee shop is all you hear is, well, don't them dummies know that if you do that, this is going to happen? And I've started telling them, maybe they didn't know. Maybe if you had attended that meeting, you could have let them know that of the unintended consequences. So these are issues where we as citizens need to get more involved and pay attention. And then through the county board and through the schools and municipalities, we're going to have to work out some common ground. Yes, TIFs are good for some things, but they can also be abused.
Susan?
I would say that too. I think using the TIF generally overall is positive. I think it depends, there's several options that you can do. But in general, they're not eliminating a tax that you're already getting, so it's not a decrease in revenue. I think you have to be careful about the length of time you allow that you allow them to have the tax credit for the increment financing. Sometimes it's 10 years, sometimes it's 20, and if it goes on too long, it can be harmful. So you have to take that into consideration. You'd also have to take into consideration what federal money there would be available there, what tax credits you can get through the state, through the federal. That all goes into the TIF money. So, but I think overall it probably can be worked out that it's fair and equitable to everyone.
All right, we're right on track to finish up in 90 minutes. With that, Tom, I'll go ahead and give you the first closing statement.
Well, great. Thanks once again for everybody coming. Susan, I've enjoyed it. My mother always said I had a big mouth. Maybe you saw a little of that tonight. I know when I was in the Navy, one of the problems is you lose a lot of your civil liberties when you're there. And one of those is your First Amendment right to speech. And so after retiring, it took me a little while to get back to learn that I can talk and I can exercise my First Amendment, and I've been going strong at it ever since I came to that realization. I never imagined in a million years that I'd be standing up here on the stage having a debate, running for a representative for the Iowa House. All I want to close with here, ladies and gentlemen, is I served my country for 20 years in the United States Navy. I currently serve my hometown as the Chief of Police, and I would be honored to be your voice in the Iowa State House. Thank you.
also like to thank everyone that has made this evening possible, the Farm Bureau, Chris Verba, and the Pocahontas Record Democrat, the Rialto Theater, people that helped make this debate possible. And I want to thank everyone in the audience for your courteous attention. It's been a long time to sit. I've always been interested in running for public office, and I am grateful for this opportunity to be a candidate for the Iowa House of Representatives. Win or lose, it's been a fabulous experience. I've truly enjoyed it, all the people that I've met, like I said earlier, and it has been fun traveling to all the towns and discovering each town's personality. That has been a true joy. I'm not running to promote a specific cause. I only want to help Iowa continue to be a wonderful place to live and work. As I said at the beginning, my focus is going to be on education, employment, and civility. Education is the backbone of our society, one of the many strengths of our state. But I'm sure there's always room for improvement, and we must maintain and improve that most valuable resource. In these tough economic times, I understand how critical it is to help middle-class families and small businesses in our communities. We must balance the budget without raising taxes, help revitalize rural Iowa with good-paying jobs by investing in technology and infrastructure and our renewable energy. Iowans expect us to put politics aside and listen and do what's best for our state. And I promise the people of District 8 that I will always listen to their concerns and work hard to earn your trust and respect. Thank you.
Can we agree, win, lose, or draw? We're ready for November 2nd?
Thank you, everybody.